Chapter 21 of Her Love from Above. Decisions made. Why would the sign read 24/7 if he isn't here 24/7? Madison demanded. The clerk of the world's largest pawn shop took in a deep breath. She had explained several times that their registered jeweler lived only 3 miles away and was willing to drive in and value jewelry day or night, but Madison wasn't listening. It had been a long day, and this obnoxious, bossy woman was getting on her last nerve. As I previously stated, she repeated, he'll be here in about 10 minutes, and even if he were living in the store, it might be longer than that before he could help you. 10 minutes isn't long to wait for an expert in, but he's not here, Madison violently interrupted. She was panicking because she was certain her mother would know by now that her belongings were missing and would be on the hunt. She needed to leave this area quickly. Your time might not be valuable, but mine is. Lights from a vehicle flooded the parking area where the jeweler usually parked. Thank God, the clerk muttered under her breath. What? Madison responded. That's him, the clerk replied while pointing toward the vehicle easing to a stop. Madison watched as an older man, perhaps in his 70s or 80s, exited the vehicle and strolled toward the front door. His head was nearly bald, and he wore a partially buttoned dress shirt. There seemed to be something wrong with the shirt, but it wasn't until he entered the store that Madison realized it was buttoned incorrectly, with a gap between the second and third buttons that didn't belong. The man's glasses were wire-framed and sat lower on his atypically large nose than was usual. He walked with a slight limp, and his shoes shuffled across the tiles with each step. He's not in much of a hurry, she growled. Maybe he'll be here by Christmas. The clerk rolled her eyes. Let's see how fast you walk when you're 83. Madison swerved back toward her. You're a nasty little thing, aren't you? She sneered. If I weren't in such a hurry, I'd make a complaint against you with the manager. Good luck with that, the clerk remarked, ignoring her glare. Madison examined the jeweler as he drew closer. You got to be kidding me, she finally grumbled. That is your expert jeweler? He's probably half blind and with one foot in the grave. He's one of the most sought-after registered jewelers in the country, the clerk informed, no longer caring about courtesy. Her voice remained harsh. People fly here from all around the world for his advice on jewels. Madison regarded the older man again. Okay, she said as she pulled the cat collar from her pocket. If he's that good, Lieutenant Chazakwe suggested, perhaps you should get the heirlooms valued as well. Madison considered the lieutenant's suggestion as she watched the older man make his way toward the jeweler counter. He seemed to be in no hurry, which irritated her greatly. Finally, he lifted part of the countertop and stepped behind it. When he placed the countertop back down, he wiped his hands on a nearby rag, pushed his wire-rimmed glasses higher on his nose, and glanced around the store, apparently awaiting the individual who was requesting his assistance. Finally, Madison murmured as she headed toward the counter, but another man approached the jeweler before she could reach him. You've got to be kidding me, she loudly bellowed. I've been waiting here for over an hour, and you jump in front of me at the last second? The man's forehead crinkled at Madison's comment. Seriously, Madison spouted. That clerk over there called him for me, and I've been waiting for over an hour. I'm not cutting in front of you, miss. I'm the one who called Mr. Weimer, he informed while glancing at his watch. And it was about 14 minutes ago. Great, Madison protested. Another smartass. If I had the time, I would make a complaint against both you and that arrogant clerk over there. The man grinned at Madison. That young lady over there is my granddaughter. I own this store. but you are welcome to file a complaint against us if you'd like, although I can assure you that neither complaint will go anywhere. In the meantime," he said, turning his attention back to the jeweler, "Mr. Weimer, would you like something to drink before you begin working with this delightful lady?" Mr. Weimer lowered his chin and looked above his glasses. "No, but thanks." The store owner backed away from the counter. "I'll be nearby if you need me." Mr. Weimer nodded, then raised his eyes to Madison. "Are you here for an estimate?" "Yes," Madison said while giving her best smile. "I have some diamonds that need valued." She handed him the cat collar. "I inherited them from my aunt a few years back, but I'm only now getting around to valuing them." The man examined the diamonds, then stared at her over the rim of his glasses. "Is this a joke?" he asked. "If it is, I am not laughing." Madison frowned. "What are you talking about?" The man held out the cat collar. "This," he said. "These are glass, nothing more." "No," Madison objected. "No, those are real diamonds. I know they are. I thought you were an expert." The man removed his glasses and leaned closer. "Young lady, I don't appreciate being called in to look at cut glass. If you inherited this, and it was supposed to be of some value, I'm afraid someone has swindled you." Madison's head was swimming. How could she have been so completely deceived? She had worked for days to catch that stupid cat, and now the jeweler was telling her they were fake. She gasped with a sudden thought. Someone must have switched the genuine collar with this one. Maybe her mother caught little miss first, and this was the result. She never dreamed that her mother would do something like this to her, but for money, Madison decided, she probably would. "If this is all you've got," Mr. Weimer said, "I would like to be leaving. I was just getting into bed when I received this call." "The heirlooms," Lieutenant Chazaqua repeated. "No," Madison quickly informed him. "I've got some family heirlooms that have been passed down for generations. I know they are real." She backed away from the counter. "Give me a second and I'll be right back." The man gave a slight nod, although he didn't seem very happy. Madison dug through her mother's suitcase and pulled out the wooden box. She tried to unlock it with the stolen key, but it wasn't working. She tried again, but the key was too big for the keyhole. That made no sense. She squinted at the key. She had watched her mother use it earlier in the week, so why wasn't it working now? "Oh, shh!" Foul words again spewed from her mouth as she grabbed the box and threw them onto the pavement. It bounced, but the box remained intact. She picked it up and banged it against a toolbox in the back of the vehicle. Nothing happened. She slammed it again and again, but still it would not open. Finally, she grabbed a crowbar from the trunk and tried to pry it open. "Would you like some help?" a man's voice asked. Madison swirled around to see the jeweler standing behind her. She breathed in a deep breath and tried to calm herself. "Yes," she finally said. "Please." She held up the key. "This has always opened it before. I don't know why it's not working now." The man picked up the box and examined the lock. "Miss, that's not the right key. Let's take this inside and I'll see what I can do for you." "I would appreciate that," Madison replied. The jeweler examined the wooden box more carefully. "I've seen this box before," he informed her. Madison fidgeted. "That's impossible," she argued. "I've had that my entire life." He looked at her from over the rim of his glasses. "I suppose there could be two of them. The one I am aware of belongs to a woman named Bobby Joe." "She's my aunt," Madison said. "We have matching boxes." "Didn't she just pass away?" A mournful expression, the quality of an Academy Award, suddenly appeared on Madison's face, and tears surfaced in her eyes. She turned her head toward the ground. Yes, she suddenly spoke, her tears becoming more forceful and streaming down her cheeks. She was my favorite. I mean, I'm going to miss. Her words seemed stifled, but she suddenly stood tall and straightened her back. Life goes on, she uttered. Of course, he responded. I didn't mean to bring back the pain. She was a wonderful woman, and I know you will miss her dearly. Madison smiled when he turned and stepped away from the counter to gather some tools. I should have been an actress, she thought to herself. I can open this for you without further damage to the box, but it will be quicker to break into it. Break into it, she answered. With Auntie gone, I'm not so sure I want to keep that box. She smiled sadly. It just won't be the same. Okay, Mr. Weimer said. He popped the lock in only a few seconds and handed it back to Madison. Your aunt had me value the heirlooms in her box a few months ago. They are nearly priceless. Madison nodded. Yes, she said, they are. She opened the box and pulled out the expensive sock that housed the jewels. Okay, she breathed out while glancing at the jeweler. Auntie gave me the family heirlooms right before she reached inside the sock and pulled out a glittering rose quartz rock. It was beautiful, but it wasn't the family heirlooms. Her mouth dropped open. Miss, I don't know what's happening here, but someone has clearly swindled you. That's a beautiful rock, but it's not the heirlooms Bobby Joe asked me to value. Should I call the police? No, Madison bellowed. She stuttered. I want to deal with this myself. Her face flared red. I will deal with this myself, she repeated, emphasizing each word. She turned, leaving the box behind, and hurried toward the exit. No one stole what was rightfully hers. Charlie had no children to inherit them. She was her mother's only child, so she was the rightful heir, and she would get what was coming to her.